Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Parliament of Knives. And in the last chapter, guys, we got to meet one of the Archons of the Camarilla, and all in all, I think we made a pretty good impression. Maybe enough to kind of get her off of our scent, but I'm not exactly sure. But we were about to enter Chapter 7 Hospitality, and I was looking at our stats here. We definitely need to be feeding again soon. Like, we have been very, very hungry. We've had to use a lot of abilities. We went against a La Sombra also in the last chapter. But our dexterity is looking really good right now. We've got a 63% rep with Corliss, which is surprising. Jordan 52, Gerard 61, got 51% with Key. And Archon Adeline, who's the newest addition to Ottawa at the moment, 36%. So I'm not sure what that exactly means, but let's go ahead and find out here in Chapter 7. Though your corporeal body rests still as the grave in your luxurious bed, your slumber is restless, mind filled to overflowing with a deluge of questions without answers, half-remembered glimpses of your mortal life, and anxieties about the blood hunt that will greet you when you wake. Of all the kindred you might have expected to call a hunt on a coterie of Tremere, Corliss would be dead last on your list. Of course, she hasn't been given much choice in the matter. Alicia saw to that. Was the diva really attacked as she claims? You find it hard to imagine Miss Grey running off into the sewers in pursuit of a would-be assassin, but stranger things have happened during your unlife here in Ottawa. Stranger things like the network of ghouls and mortals in the basement beneath Alicia's exhibition. No matter how you feel about it, it's a hard vision to get out of your head. As accustomed as you become to the nightly life of an undead vampire, there's still something deeply unsettling on a visceral level about the mechanical exploitation of living beings, slave to machines with feeding tubes and vitae drips. The beast within whispers dark words as you twist about in your sleep, reminding you that your continued existence relies on exploitation of human flesh. No, you tell yourself, what I do is different. But is it? Is it really? You groan and roll over to your other side. You never did find out exactly what the networked mortals were doing there. When we read about that scene in the last chapter, when Key and Silas discovered that, it reminded me of the movie Daybreakers, which is a criminally underrated film, but it was very much in that vein, no pun intended. Oh no, it is the city of Ottawa. Shift. Your lucid dream flickers into the interior of the police station where you planted explosives to distract the sheriff and aid the Anarchs jailbreak. You never did find out if the bomb killed anyone. Since then, the Brujah's interest in you has only ramped up, and now, for the second day in a row, you're seeing him in your sleep. You haven't had much time to worry about the implications of what might happen to you if the truth ever comes out. If Ward was looking for a way to make sure you had a vested interest in him remaining at large, he certainly succeeded. You're not sure who should concern you the most, Corliss or Key, but you know in your bones that if either of them discover your part in the breakout, you wouldn't survive the night. Finally, your restless, dreaming mind settles on a conviction that would be more difficult to reach in waking hours. Ooh, okay, we have to make our call here. The thing about it is Silas doesn't really care about equality among kindred. He doesn't really seem to have that vibe. Well, let's say we're gonna grudgingly support the Anarchs then, I guess. I mean, maybe we can use this chaos to kind of climb ourselves up the ladder. grudgingly support the Anarchs. I know the Camarilla is important to our continued existence, but the top-down structure needs to change if I ever want my voice to truly matter. Outside your haven, the sun rises to its apex, and your undead mind flees from conscious thought into the realm of proper dream. A restful sleep, deep and empowering. Come on, Silas. I have so much to show you. After Corliss and Arundel loosed their leash and let you into the city on your own, you'd spend many of your nights exploring the world alongside Jordan Tremblay. Most of your contemporaries were indifferent on the topic of your continued survival, but from the very beginning, she showed great interest in you. So you worked together out of practical necessity. Jordan picked up on your training where your sire left off, rounding out the rough edges and expanded your abilities. Sounds like a metal band? Yeah, for sure. The Parliament of Knives. Oh. Large boost to charisma. Okay. Intelligence and strength with a small boost to dex and resolve. Large boost to resolve and composure, small boost to wits and intelligence. Large boost to stam and dex, small boost to strength and resolve. So this is all okay. Large boost to wits and stamina, small boost to charisma and manipulation. What are we currently horrible at, I guess is the question. I think our stam would need some work. Our stamina and intelligence. Do we have anything that can help with that? Strength and intelligence. Stam and dexterity, yes. Wits and stamina. Composure and wits. So, large boost to stam and dex with a small boost to strength and resolve. What's our resolve at again? Our resolve's at 40. Our intelligence is still relatively low, all things considered. But our strength... Yeah, I think we need to be able to soak more damage. I figured that we would need that right now. So let's do this. Jordan and I worked tirelessly to build up a popular local business. We were successful, but eventually got bought out when an elder vampire made us an offer we couldn't refuse. Large boost to wits and stam with a small boost to charisma and manipulation. It's like, what's our wits? Our wits at 44. I think that's going to be pretty good. You've never been prouder than when your business plans took off, allowing you to wean yourself from your sire's monthly spending stipends and become self-sufficient. Jordan also flourished, despite the long hours necessary to set the gears of personal finance in motion. Of course, an elder kindred can never be content with seeing their inferiors succeed, and inevitably you were stomped out of the market for pennies on the dollar. In the end, it turned out to be an exercise in frustration, but the skills you learned would prove invaluable in the nights to come. You wake at nightfall feeling drained and empty inside. You check over your wounds, pleased to see that they've mended at last, but at the expense of a solid day's slumber. A quick trip to feed might be in order before joining Corliss's blood hunt. Lex skitters onto the vanity and chitters away at you.
No more, son. Time for waking.
Okay, our stam's at 51. I'm much happier about that. 40, intelligence at 36. Thing is, we're becoming kind of a jack of all trades. Oh, we're ravenous. We definitely need to feed. Good morning, Black. You're awfully cheerful this evening.
You needed it, yes?
Black squeaks.
Your dreams, they were...
You can sense him fumbling for the right way to convey a human concept.
Send to me. You were nervous. Black wants to cheer you up.
Wait. You stammer through the bond. You can see my dreams? Black shakes his head and chitters.
First time, saw a hunt. A bad-smelling warlock from the council. Mama Corliss and friend Jordan. What happens?
Sire Corliss called a blood hunt for tonight. You say, running your thumb down Bleck's wiry coat of gray fur. You never imagined that the tiny creature could see into your dreams. You'd had trouble sleeping. Maybe you unconsciously called out through the bond for comfort as you tossed and turned? Kindred politics, you say. It's complicated. Bleck sends an image that could be interpreted as a human sniffing in distaste.
All your people's business complicated. Down. Stop fighting. Have something to eat.
Don't say it, you say, quirking an eyebrow.
Oh. Say what?
Bleck replies.
Oh.
He wiggles excitedly.
AIDS?
You dig into your top dresser drawer and take the last of your cheese curds from an older bag. Be grateful this stuff doesn't need to be refrigerated, you say as you drop the small white chunk in front of him. Within seconds, it's devoured and any crumbs are scoured clean. You should tag along, you say, just out of sight.
Should all eat together. Less fighting, less killing.
I don't think we'll be eating together, Black. Sorry.
Fine, I come, but you owe Black a new bag of cheese.
You pull a plain white shirt over your head and turn away from the mirror. This is no time to be concerned with vanity. A sharp gleam catches your eye from the top of your dresser and you retrieve your Desert Eagle along with the 3 magazines of ammo you have left. The last blood hunt you attended nearly ended you. This time you'll be going in with your eyes open, your weapon loaded. Outside the bedroom, the main chamber of your haven is quiet. The lights turned down to a neutral dim setting. Gerard's absence is conspicuous given the immediacy of tonight's hunt, but you can't concern yourself with your pet servant's comings and goings at the moment. You check the ghoul's desk for a note. Pleased to find a paper tri-folded in the center with your name written on the outward-facing side. You open it and start to read. Your sire's servants have instructed me to send you Bacard's Haven no later 2 hours after nightfall. You are permitted and encouraged to feed before the engagement. Be well, sir. I'll be here when you return. Gerard. Well, that answers your question about where you need to be. You walk to the front door and grab your coat. You want to be in full fighting form with less hunger to drag you down. Allowances have been made for you to feed, and you should make good use of them. Where do you plan to sate your cravings? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. We could return to the park and visit Sam for a nice top off of blood. It's warmer tonight than the last time you visited Gillo Julian Park, and the wind has died down. As you approach the hidden shelter in the trees beside the park, you're thankful not to see the telltale hints of a fire. When you push back the hanging sleeping bag, you're surprised to find not Sam, but a young woman seated on the ground digging into a can of black beans with a plastic spoon. She looks up at you with haunted eyes and puts the can down on the ground. "Who are you?" she asks, swiping a hand through her thickly matted hair, brushing out leaves and twigs self-consciously. My friend's gonna be back any minute, so you play nice now, eh? Well, Sam probably told you about me. We made an arrangement the other night. Oh, Danny says, her voice quivering with tension. I thought he'd started using again. I didn't think it was real. Or maybe he was just trying to cover for stealing that cash? You hand over another 50. He didn't steal it. I gave it to him for services rendered. Oh. she says simply, staring at the crisp, red bill. I don't think I'm okay with this. She crumbles the 50 in her hands and shoves it into her pocket. I'm not letting some weirdo suck my blood. I don't care how much money you have.
Well, I don't think you have to. The arrangement I have is with Sam, not you.
Well, I'm not letting you use him like that either. You're all the same, you rich folks. You think you can come down here and get your sick rocks off screwing around with people who can't fight back? Dangle a few dollars and watch us dance? Fuck you.
I can't help noticing that you haven't given the money back.
I said fuck you.
What the hell's going on here?
Sam has returned. He's carrying a small bag of groceries. His eyes darken when he realizes who you are.
Back so soon? We have an arrangement.
Sam bites his lip.
I'm a man of my word. I took your money.
You don't owe him shit, hun, Danny says.
I really do, he replies. Why don't you go tell Ralph I got some of that tuna he likes so much. I'll come over in a minute and we can split it, okay?
Sam...
No, it's okay. This is good for us. You'll see.
Danny leaves angrily for the other encampment without another word.
Does it always feel that way?
Sam asks as you hand him his payment.
When you feed, I've never felt so good in my life. It does.
He pulls back his collar.
And give me a hit. I've been waiting for this all day.
Sam quivers as you feed, and you can feel his pulse pounding against your lips. You wonder what it feels like to be on the other end of the equation. The wiggling mortal impaled on a predator's fangs. You're sure you've had the experience at least once before your embrace, but no matter how hard you try, you can't remember the particulars. You lick the wounds closed and suck the last drops of blood from your pale lips as Sam sits, shuddering on the ground, unable to vocalize the aftermath of the feedings washing over him. You decide to make yourself scarce before company arrives. Your appetite largely sated for the moment, you decide to move on, always aware that there's a hunger for more that you can never fully extinguish. Hey, okay, we're just growing hungry now. As you're nearing the sewer grate nearest Picard's lair, a red Subaru Jesty pulls to a stop beside you as its driver cranks down the window. Can't remember the last time you saw a car without electronic controls. No more smartphones, no email, couriers hand-delivering notes between cities, and now we're stripping the electronic systems out of cars? If the mortals' goal in prosecuting their second Inquisition is to force Kindred to roll back progress by 100+ years, they seem to be succeeding. A man you've never seen before puts his arm up on the door and leans out, staring at you over a pair of thin, yellow-tinted sunglasses. Hey, you Silas, right? He asks with an almost stunningly thick Brooklyn accent. He scratches long fingernails through at least 2 days' worth of stubble on his chin.
Who's asking?
The Queen of fucking England. What do you think I am? The man says with a snort. I'm not just some random asshole. Bobby sent me to pick you up.
Bobby? You mean Robert?
Ward. The driver nods. That's the guy. Hey, Vito, thank you so much, man. 28 months in a row, 36 total, 3 years. Sub to the channel. I greatly appreciate that, boss. Thank you for supporting the channel and for supporting the Children's Hospital. Hope you're having a good night. The driver nods. Yeah, it's the guy. Get in. He said the last time he sent for you there was a bit of a holdup involved. He learned from that mistake. I don't got a gun. I'm under orders to be civil with you.
He really knows how to send an invitation that's hard to say yes to.
Courtesy ain't really Bobby's cup of tea, no. The man reaches back and pops open the rear door. You coming?
And how can I know you're who you say you are?
Black pokes his head from your pocket and chitters the same question. To the driver's credit, he doesn't so much as flinch.
Don't be a pain in my ass,
the driver says. Fine. It looks like he's trying to remember something. Look, Bobby said he's willing to come clean about your missing memories. He knows about the hunt, but this gotta come first. He'll be quick. Okay.
Ward has to know this isn't a good time for me. I can't just disappear right now, even if I want to.
The driver takes in a deep breath. Look, the way I see it, you could wipe the floor with me anytime you want. I can't fight against what you are, but the boss needs you. You hear me? He wouldn't have sent me if it wasn't important. I can't force you into the car, but you should at least think about it before walking away.
And I'll come with you, but this better be worth it.
You stare out the car window at a near endless stream of shops closed for the evening as the driver, his name is Stan, as he makes sure to tell you at least 6 times, prattles on in an endless babble of mishmash topics that have nothing to do with where he's taking you. You try to steer the conversation to how he ended up working for Ward, but even that ends up sidetracked. The man has a prodigious gift for mindless chatter, and other than making a quick phone call after he picked you up, he remained engaged more or less constantly. After several minutes, you give up hope of learning anything useful.
It's been about 2 months now,
the driver says in his thick New York City accent. Bob brings me up this frozen icebox, right? And we're looking for this chick he calls Sevink. Sevink? You perk up. Finally, he's saying something interesting.
Where did you find her?
Yeah, that's the thing, Stan says. Took us weeks of chasing our own tails from the dead drop to dead drop. Ottawa, Hamilton, Kitchener, London, and then all the way back again. Know where we found her? You think you know where this is going, but you shake your head. Right back at the first dead drop we went to. Bob just about shit a brick, which would have been one hell of a trick with what him being dead. But yeah, there she was, just sitting on the park bench, cool as a goddamn cucumber, feeding those dogs of hers like she didn't have a care in the world. 2 of them hashed things out, but the dogs wouldn't let me anywhere near her. Figured they'd be able to tell I was with Bob, but since I got his blood in me, but I guess if you're not a full-on vamp, they know it by smell. Reminds me of this pit bull friend I had back in Queens, or my friend had back in Queens. Get this guy trained the... Hey, Messi. Doing all right, how about yourself? I press this topic of Sevink.
Well, tell me more about this meeting with Sevink. What did she and your boss talk about?
Yeah, it started in with a lot of standard anarchy talk, Stan says. Nothing fancy. I think we're just getting to know each other, make sure they were who they said they were. Something like that. She said one of her contacts claimed that the prince wanted to talk to Bob, but it had to be all secret-like. More fucking dead drops. He pulls to a gradual stop at an intersection and watches a pedestrian walk by. Snow drifts down slowly against a backdrop of nighttime light pollution. It's the only time since you got in the car that he's been quiet. He licks his lips. Yeah, I should probably keep some of that stuff to myself. Boss doesn't like me spreading specifics, and I only know what I'm told. I don't know exactly why he wants to talk to you, but he must trust you to have me bring you to him. Yeah, he told me about your missing memories, but that wasn't so much to tell me as for me to tell you. Get me? You nod quietly, hoping for more interesting tidbits, but none are forthcoming. Eventually, he takes a sharp left into a parking lot off Queen Street and prompts you to get out of the car. A hulking man who could only be Ward is reclined against a brown painted brick wall smoking a cigar, an orange glow lighting what little you can see of his face through the padded hood of his heavy winter coat. Beside him, Sevink and 3 others you don't know have formed a circle around Hauberk, the feral you're already all too acquainted with. You're surprised not to see her two dogs as well, but you suppose they might have drawn too much attention to an already questionable late-night meeting.
Silas, Ward says with a toothy grin. You made it.
He crushes his cigar against the brick wall, snuffing it out. A part of you is impressed at the display. Any mortal can smoke, but for a vampire to brave even the smallest of flames as casually as he did just requires a great deal of physical and mental control over one's inner beast.
I should have sent Stan the first time I needed to get a hold of you. He didn't talk your ear off, did he? Well, he was a bit chatty, but it was better than having your pharaoh grind a gun into my guts. Good choice. I couldn't have been sure that you'd come the other night, Ward says. Sevik suggested the gun and I went with her recommendation. Turns out I underestimated you. Well, hopefully both of you know better now, you say. I came here on my own to hear what you have to say. Oh, to the point then, Ward says. You want to know about your missing memories? You nod. That's why you brought me here, isn't it?
One of the reasons, Ward says. He gestures you to come closer and you follow his instruction. You're not sure how many people you want to know about the secrets Ward is peddling.
It's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but the most important things take time to understand.
It takes all of your self-control not to tell him to get on with it already.
Corliss is not your sire. That's almost too outlandish for you to make up. Let's say I believe you. Why should she lie about that? Well, it's not outlandish to understand that basic kindred instinct is self-serving. Even our occasional altruism is committed with purpose. We're predators. It's what we do. She lied for a very simple reason. It benefited her. Corliss isn't all there is to this either. There's a lot more at play. Your memories are more important than you know.
So I guess our character is kind of like Darth Revan, in a way.
Wait, one thing at a time here. If Corliss isn't my sire, then who is? Well, there are only two kindred who know that other than you, Ward says. Corliss would, you'd say. She'd have to. Who else?
Arundel. That's why we have to find out what happened to him.
Assuming this is true, how would you even know about it? You're not even Camarilla anymore.
I was, Ward says. Even Corliss admits that. They all know me here, for better or for worse. They also know that I was close with the prince. Arundel and I didn't even always see eye to eye, but there are things I know those other licks would kill for, and have killed for.
Well, you're right about one thing, you say. There are a lot of people who want you out of the way.
Have you ever heard of a dead man's switch? The concept was originally designed to stop machinery if its operator was incapacitated, usually to keep them from getting hurt or killed. But it can also be used in an offensive way, like a bomb that goes off if you die or disappear. He shifts away from the wall, growing restless from standing idle. You catch a glimpse of what you think could be a sawed-off shotgun carefully hidden on his back, strapped there beneath the bulky winter coat.
And what does that have to do with me?
You ask, not sure you're going to like the answer. You're Arundel's dead man switch. He knew he couldn't trust Corliss, so when she asked him to help her repress your memories, he hit triggers in your subconscious that would make them return under certain conditions, along with other planted knowledge that he thought would be beneficial for you to know.
Certain conditions, like him disappearing.
You remember the dream you had 2 nights ago. Details have gone hazy, even kindred dreams are forgotten not long after awakening. but you remember a meeting between Arundel and Ward, an event you couldn't possibly have been present for. An old blue powder Ford pulls into the parking lot, its headlights cutting through the lazy snowfall until the engine cuts and the driver gets out along with a passenger. Ward visibly relaxes.
I don't expect you to take everything I have to say at face value, he says. I can't unblock you. It's not really my wheelhouse. But you know someone who can at least verify that your memories have been altered.
The car's passenger makes a beeline for you and Ward. Hey, Silas. I knew I'd find you here. It's Jordan.
Jordan, what are you doing here?
I saw this in a dream last night, Jordan says. So when Ward's servant came to the door, I knew it was the real deal. She looks at Ward questioningly. I knew we'd be here, but I don't know why we're here.
He wants you to verify his claim that my mind's been altered.
Jordan frowns. Are you sure that's something you really want to do? It's more than a little invasive. I wouldn't want to poke around in there unless you really know what you're asking for.
Do we really think it's necessary? If Ward is right and Arundel intended for my memories to be triggered naturally, isn't it possible that poking around could repress them further?
It's not necessary if you already believe Ward is telling the truth, Jordan says. Though I doubt I could repress anything Arundel altered. I'd mostly be looking to see if there's an aura of change in your psyche.
I don't really want to do this, but I'm not sure what other options we have.
Well, I'll give you two some space, Ward says. He's no longer flashing his customary grin. His face is cold, dead serious as he walks over to Sevink and the others. Okay, Jordan says, rubbing her hands together. Let's both sit down for this. It should be quick. I don't think Ward really understands what I can actually do. I can't exactly read your memories. I can scan you for influences, kind of probe and poke around your psyche. Ophelia calls it scrying, but I think more of it as an X-ray, except instead of seeing your bones and organs, I'm looking at your aura and soul. You sit on the pavement, back against the cold brick wall. Jordan sits opposite you and pulls her messy hair back into a top knot to keep it out of her eyes. You catch Sevik watching you closely out of the corner of her eye. Unlike Ward, it's clear that she's not quite sure whether you can be trusted.
Do I need to do anything?
You ask. Not really, Jordan says. Maybe you'd be more comfortable if you closed your eyes?
I'm not sure that's a good idea, you say. We have no idea what most of these people are, or who most of these people are.
Bleck must sense your concern. He pokes out of your pocket and perches defensively on your chest.
I protect you,
he says, as though he truly believes that he can fend off a small army of Anarchs. It'll only take a second, she says. Go on. Close your eyes. When you open your eyes again, you're no longer sitting against the brick wall. You're not even in a parking lot. Magnificent floor-to-ceiling windows look out over a cityscape not immediately familiar to you. Twinkling lights and high-rises as far as the eye can see through the night-shrouded horizon. Across the room, two women are arguing dramatically, silhouetted against the city backdrop. You try to stand up and intervene, but find that you're rooted to the spot. Somewhere in your subconscious, you know that this is a memory. You won't be able to alter the course of events, but you can learn from them. The scent of blood pulls your attention to your right, where you notice the body of a recently killed mortal woman. It's hard to make out the face unless you focus in on that portion of the memory. If you understand it, vampire memory alteration is just covering up. Only mages can truly erase memories. No, some aspects of Auspex and Dominate can actually erase memories completely. Hey, Standing Wolf, I'm doing all right. How about yourself? So what we should, okay, so we're in a dream state, guys. Who should we focus our attention to? Watch the two women arguing by the window? It seems easier than shifting our gaze elsewhere, as if what they are dominated, as if they are what dominated my attention when the actual events took place. Should I focus on the mortal woman, or do I pay attention to my surroundings? You have a tornado alert going on with a very bad storm right now? Oh no, stay safe. What do you guys think? Messi says we should focus on the mortal. Anyone else? Two. The two women are probably important. Yeah, I'm not sure how many opportunities we're gonna get for this. You know what? We're gonna go with this. We're gonna go with the watching the two women. Both women are dressed in what might have been considered quite fashionable somewhere between the 1960s and the 70s. Sheath dresses cinched at the waist, one midnight black and the other a muted red. The woman on the left is more relaxed and clearly in her element. Blonde hair worn long and casual as she swirls a dark liquid held in a crystal tumbler. If you had to guess, you'd say that this suite is her home, or her office. Her calm is slowly being whittled away by her guest in the red dress. Oh, hold on. Silas, are you there? A voice intrudes on your memories. Your vision swims and then re-solidifies as the disagreement quickly descends into violence and the disembodied voice is forgotten. The woman on the right pulls a bulky handgun from her purse and fires twice. In the light of the muzzle flashes, you know the murderer for exactly who she is. Your sire, Eden Corliss. Her victim falls back against the window, streaking it with blood. Two massive smoking holes burn through her chest. At first, you're certain that she's dead. But when Corliss lets her guard down and kneels over the body, the victim lurches off the floor and shoves her against the glass, stabbing Corliss mercilessly with a hidden weapon as she sinks her teeth into her neck. You try to crawl away as they struggle, but there's nowhere to go. The doors are locked and you don't have the key. By the time your memory's vision shifts back to the fight, Corliss has turned the tables again, but this time she's drinking deeply from her victim's neck. You try to call out, desperate to prevent a mortal sin that you instinctively know is wrong, but you're powerless as a babe, as a fledgling. For several minutes, all you hear is the sound of messy vampiric feeding, not the discreet sucking of blood you've since become accustomed to, but a more bestial ravaging, the draining of a life force. And then the door behind you bursts open, flying off its hinges as another vampire rushes into the room and flings Corliss away from the already decaying body. So Corliss committed diablerie, which is a big no-no in the Camarilla. Are you out of your mind? Arundel bellows. What have you done, Eden?
She responds shakily. It happened so fast. I thought I had her, and then her hand, was in my chest, tearing my guts out.
She staggers back into the moonlight streaming in from the window. Her dress is in tatters, her chest an open, pulsating wound that's slowly mending before your eyes. She points at you.
He saw everything. We have to destroy him too.
Arundel snarls.
Enough damage has been done already. Grace had to be stopped, but if the court finds out about this, we'll both be staked out in the sun.
They wouldn't dare.
You know better than that.
He stalks over to you, smoldering fury writ large on his snarling face. Arundel, always so calm and collected, he's barely recognizable like this. Grace's child could be useful to us, he says, looking you over like a prime cut of beef.
Oh. Now's who's out of their mind,
Orlis grunts. She's almost fully mended as the powerful Vitae does its work.
How could we possibly explain him?
You've been planning on taking another child, Arundel says. Now you have one. He grabs your head and forces you to look into his calculating eyes. He speaks in strange tongues and your world loses focus. All is darkness. Ooh. You lurch forward, nearly colliding with Jordan as you gasp for air with a desperation you haven't felt since you were mortal. Ward and his crew are arrayed around you in a semicircle. Roaches, thank you so much for that resub 4 months in a row. Another chile. I greatly appreciate that. Another child.
Jesus, Silas,
Jordan exclaims.
Are you okay?
Sivic's arms are crossed and her eyes are boring into you. If you believe she could peer into your soul, you're sure that's how she'd look while she was doing it.
There was an argument. 2 women dressed like it was the 60s.
You say before thinking better of it. You don't need every local Anarch to know what you just saw. If it's real, how could any of that be real? You feel like you're going to throw up. More mortal reflexes bubbling back to the surface as if you've forgotten your decades of undeath. You see now that I was telling the truth? Ord asks.
No question.
Jordan preempts you.
Massive rewrites, but you shouldn't be able to see through them. I don't have that kind of power.
Arundel wanted him to see, Ward mutters. You hit a trigger. Jordan helps you to stand. You're feeling more like yourself every second, but it'll take a while to digest what you just saw. I need time to process this new information. It's hard to tell what's true anymore. Yeah, it's like, that's be one of those. I need 5 minutes, guys. It's all too much to take in at once. How can you possibly choose who to trust when you can't even rely on your own mind? Ward clears his throat. There's a storm coming, Silas. And enough with the dramatics. Civic cuts him off. You wouldn't be here unless you felt that something about the Camarilla is wrong. Your existence is built on a rotten foundation just like this city. And now it's all falling apart. So you can either join us or slink back to your masters. This is your last chance to turn back. Things are going to get bloody, and you'll need to have the stomach for a revolution. She gives Ward a quick glance, but the Brujah has nothing to add. Ooh. So, we're having kind of a Revan moment here. Now, it is very true that maybe Arundel programmed this into us, but there's no guarantee that the Anarchs are doing this for selfless reasons. You know what I mean? They very much are just using us as a tool. Are there any areas that are mostly Anarch controlled in the world? Well, I don't know about the 5th edition World of Darkness Blood, but in 3rd/20th edition, the Anarchs have their main location is the Anarch Free State. They have a huge section of like California and the Western United States under their control. Primarily like California and the Pacific Coast. If it's a trigger, if it's a trigger, Arundel wanted us to see it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Arundel wants us to get in bed with Ward and the Anarchs afterward. You know what I mean? So it's like the message may be sound, but we don't know if we can trust the messengers. What do you guys think? I'm leaning toward the third option. We'll join with Ward's crew for now, but if they cross the line, we're out. It's, man. What do you guys think we should do? I have a feeling that everything's going to change. Because if they find out that we've kind of joined the Anarchs, like all of our foundation is going to just catch on fire. You know what I mean? Anarchs are stinky. Thanks, Blood. Oh, man. We could go for the fourth option. Oh. You're thinking we're being used by the prince no matter what? Man. Okay. I'm thinking between either 3 or 4 guys. I need you guys to vote in the chat. Should we join with Ward's crew, but if they cross the line, we're out? Or do we go ahead and pretend to join the Anarchs and report everything they do to Corliss? Which I'm sure they may give us an opportunity to change that later. Blood says 4, Standing Wolf says 3, Messy says 3. I agree, Nova. It's got to be those 2 options. I'm seeing a majority going for 3. Oh, actually, it's tied. Ooh. Oh, Vito broke the tie. You know what? Let's go ahead and do this. We'll pretend to join the Anarchs and report everything they do to Corliss. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to report what we learned. All right. Ward's face cracks open in an alarmingly wide smile that borders on unnerving.
About time we got some good news.
He crows, glancing over at Sevic's disapproving face with an unspoken, "I told you so." And what about me? Jordan asks. I don't get a say in the matter?
I wasn't making a decision for you, you quickly reply. I was just deciding for myself. You can probably join the hunt in time if you leave now. That is, if you still want to.
Jordan sighs. After everything I've seen, I think I was leaning this way already. Kindred society is ugly, Camarilla and Anarch alike. She looks over at Ward and his cronies. No offense, but ever since Arundel disappeared, it seems like everyone just cares about tearing each other down. We can't keep existing like this. Something has to give. They're so focused on taking power from each other that they've forgotten the real enemy. At this rate, they'll eventually slip up, and the mortals pushing their second inquisition will burn the city to the ground. Things need to change, and I'm not seeing any other solutions. So you're in or out, Sevic says. We don't have time for games or philosophical nonsense. What the heck? Jordan says, giving you a quick look. If he's in, I'm in. And I'm out again. No way in hell, Jordan says, throwing up her hands. Have you lost your mind? You want to attack Elysium?
There'll never be a better time, Ward says. All the heavy hitters are underground fighting with the Tremere. He's out of the way. Picard and Luca too. Even that assassin, Kashif, is getting his share of Warlock blood.
Alicia will be there, you say, and her flock of neonates and fledglings too. You want to destroy the Keeper of Elysium? What if Corliss is there?
Corliss is occupied, Ward says. She won't be.
Did you think that this was going to be a bloodless revolution? Sevik cuts Ward off. You expected we waltz into Elysium and the Camarilla would just step aside and hand us the run of the place? Change comes when the downtrodden climb up on a stack of their oppressors' corpses and take back what's theirs. There's no other way around it. To reach it, the elite pull the ladder up after them when they hide in their ivory tower. She leans over the bed of her brown pickup truck and pulls a curved sword out from under a tarp. Alicia Gray is a perfect example of the decay that's rotting the Camarilla from the core. She manufactured that story about the Tremere attacking her, you know? She found out that they'd returned to Ottawa and it was the perfect excuse to wipe out some competition. Pressure Corliss to call a blood hunt and every vampire destroyed puts her one step closer to the top of the heap. Why risk yourself in an attack on your enemies when you can get them to destroy each other?
Aren't Tremere part of the Camarilla? Yes, they are, but that doesn't mean there can't be some wars and skullduggery about, especially when you have kindred from different cities fighting against each other. What about the Archon? Let's see. I'm wondering what we should tell them. Well, Blood, vampires don't trust the Tremere. It has nothing to do with them being mages, though that certainly doesn't help. It was the fact that they basically diablerized one of the clans in order to exist. They wiped out the Salubri in order to become vampires. Now, don't get me wrong, the Salubri got their revenge in the end, but okay. Poor Salah. You know what? I'm going to let them know about what Alicia's doing. We'll see what happens here.
I've seen firsthand what Alicia is capable of. She's enslaved ghouls and mortals, tying them to machines with vitae drips to keep them alive just to help her get ahead on the digital front. If she looks at Kindred the same way, then we're all just tools to her.
So that's what she's keeping in the basement of the exhibition hall, Ward muses. Interesting. How'd you find that out?
You're just going to have to trust me,
you say. Instinct tells you that going in depth about how closely you and Key have been working together lately might not be a bad idea. Or might be a bad idea.
So when did this turn into a full-on revolution anyway? Jordan asks. I thought you and Arundel were close before you left. Don't you care where he went? If he can be helped?
Ward pauses for a moment and considers his answer as Sevik grows increasingly impatient. Arundel wanted this. I'm sure of it, he says. Why else would he have tried to welcome the Bruja to Ottawa? He brought in the Banu Hakim, even welcomed the Gangrel. Last I heard, he was even thinking of taking in Reform La Sombra, though I'm not sure if that's a bridge too far. Point is, Camarilla has been sidelining all of our clans for centuries. Mine, Harbuck's, Sevik's, and more. Arundel wanted a society where we could all exist together without fear or prejudice. Does that sound like a Camarilla attitude to you? The difference between him and me is that he tried to work within the system for change, and I couldn't convince him that the system itself was the problem. We came at it from different ways, but the philosophy was the same.
And you think that philosophy would include destroying the Keeper of Elysium and anyone else unfortunate enough to be visiting neutral ground?
Arundel wasn't a pacifist, Ward says. Almost no kindred are. We've all already died once. We feed on mortal blood. We're predators. A show of strength is all the Camarilla understands. So, you in?
I think this is kind of the point of no return, guys. What do we do? Do we participate in the attack on Elysium? Or do we say, no, we're going back to the hunt? Standing Wolf says we're in. Anyone else? Maybe... Man. I don't know what to do, guys. I really don't. No, we have not found Arundel. We don't really know anything. We could just go ahead and get out of this, provided that Sevek would actually allow us to do so. I'm almost tempted just to roll random and see what we get. The thing about it is Ward doesn't know where Arundel is either. No, you know what? Nah.
No. I can't do this. We're going back to the hunt.
I told you earlier that it was your last chance to back out. Zemik snarls. Do you really think we just tell you our plans and let you walk away? Ward starts to say something, but she shushes him. You had your chance and you missed it. You start backing away, hand hovering over your holster ready to draw your Desert Eagle. Jordan nervously follows your lead. You nearly reach the street when you notice the shadows of two hulking brutes lurking where a streetlight has conveniently gone dark. You twist at their waist, drawing your gun and firing fractions of a second before two men leap from the darkness, brandishing knives as they reach out to stab you and Jordan in the back. Your attacker grunts from your unexpected counterattack, but he doesn't let up, stabbing into your guts as Sevek chants in an unknown language, a thin line of blood dripping down her arm from a self-inflicted wound. You're quicker than I expected, she says, clearly impressed that you saw through the ambush. But you're not quick enough. As the claws twist into your gut, a strange sensation runs through your body, coursing through your veins like fire, burning away the sustenance from your vitae and stoking desperate hunger. You try to fight back, to use your special gifts against the onslaught, but it's already too late, and all you can think about is starvation. I'm sorry it had to be this way, you faintly heard Ward say as he stands above, watching the ferals beat you. But you'll help our cause either way. One last boot to the face, and everything goes dark. Oh man. So they're just gonna use us one way or the other. Interesting. Yeah, man, they were going from 0 to 10 just way too quick. And the thing about it is, I kind of wanted to be undercover with the Anarchs, but it's just one of those situations where, like, I think attacking Elysium would be the point of no return. I think they would kill us even if they're doing all this and you were with them during this. You know what I mean? Especially
my primary concern here is the Archon. The fact that the Archon was not mentioned during all of this, I just have a feeling that if we had participated in that Elysium tack, the Archon would have found out somehow. So that's, I know it was this, I like that little twist of turns of like, all right, we'll go ahead and join. You're going to do what? No. And then they're like, well, you're going to help us whether you want to, or I like that concept. What's our hunger at? It's a very real kind of story. Oh, we're ravenous. Okay. So hungry. But we are about to, that's the end of chapter 7, hospitality, which is one of the traditions. And now we're under chapter 8, scrutiny. So we will see what happens, guys. I don't know if we've taken an interesting turn in the story or not, but we're going to find out sooner rather than later. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you haven't followed the Twitch channel, please do so. I try and stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, random times in between. And if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, I have a link to the Twitch channel down in the description below, a link to VTM Parliament of Knives on Steam. I highly recommend you pick up this game, and it's a lot of fun. Looks like a ton of different paths you can take. And I also have a link to my Extra Life page where I'm raising money for my local children's hospital via the awesome Extra Life charity. So check out all of those links if you feel so inclined. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill there. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.